I don't think tackling will be as much of an issue as it was. I think it will be improved. I think it will certainly be improved. There's still levels to this. I want it to be great. I don't want it to be just improved. I want it to be great. I think there's reasons to believe it will be so. One player that did well, we go back to the scrimmage, in pursuit and tackling in the scrimmage, was transfer safety Asa Turner. Let's hear from Billy Napier on the importance of bringing him in.
What does the player bring to the table besides his experience, his traits, his production? And I would be lying if I didn't say, hey, I want a guy who's been around a winner and who understands what good culture looks like, has played in some big games. And he's definitely brought those things to our team. You know, he was recruited by Chris Peterson, and Jimmy Lake had a relationship with Coach Harris, I think his freshman year. So we knew a lot about him, and he started a lot of games and played a lot of football. So he definitely has rubbed off on the group just in terms of self-discipline. I mean, this guy, he's in the building as much as I am. I mean, sometimes I come over here on the weekends. There's Asa. So I think he has a very professional attitude, and I think that culture under Coach Peterson, Coach Lake, even Coach DeBoer, I think some of that carried over. So he's definitely brought that to our team, and I think that's been beneficial for the group.
To me, Asa Turner, Pup Howard, they may end up being the most important transfers in this class, certainly for the defense. And think about the safety position last year. I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit to safety overall for a second before we get back to Asa Turner. But guys, let's go back a year. 1 year ago, we were set on thinking this was going to be the Kamari Wilson and Miguel Mitchell show. Those guys were going to be the safeties. And then we get to game week, we get to the Utah game, and it's true freshman Jordan Castell and it's transfer R.J. Moten lining up on the back end. One big play to start Utah, start the season off with. Of course, things change but Jordan Castell played admirably as a true freshman early on in the season. Took his bumps later in the year. But, I mean, not going to fault him for out there playing as a true freshman. You know, throughout the season, it ends up mostly being Castell and Miguel Mitchell throughout the season. But think about it. Who could Jordan Castell really learn from last year? I just gave you the guys that we thought were going to be the starters, and Kamari Wilson, Miguel Mitchell. There wasn't a lot of experience between those guys. You did bring in R.J. Moten, as I said, but failure on that first play versus Utah, not really set up for safety in the SEC. Got injured last year. Now he's moving to linebacker. I mean, you can see how much of a mess the safety position was if we go back a year ago. Thankfully, Florida had Jordan Castell. But what could he really learn? Or who could he really learn from last year? Who could he lean on? Not really anyone. He was all instincts and learning on the job, all while playing the most snaps out of anybody on defense. And all this comes after playing corner in high school, and he went on to play really well under those circumstances. We know a mess the secondary was last year. You know, Corey Raymond on now to LSU. It wasn't a great environment, and Jordan Castell made the best of it. And he admits he was figuring things out as he was going along. And he kind of had to look confident more than he really felt confident. He couldn't really show the doubt or lack of belief in himself. He had to go out there and play football. He had to go out there and be a reliable player on a pretty bad Gator defense. He was a shining light as a true freshman. And look, he even said a lot of it was new. I played a little safety in high school, but was almost strictly a corner. So I was playing man. A lot of things like just go out there with confidence. If I see something, believe it, in the quote. And he goes on to say, the good thing I had was a lot of guys believing me by showing up in practice and all that and being the same guy every day. That helped out a lot. Now think about what Napier said about Asa Turner. Jordan Castell learned a lot last year, but now he has a partner back there, an experienced partner, one he can lean on, one he can trust in Asa Turner. Trust is a big deal on that back end. Corner, safety, both safeties back there together. You've got to have a lot of trust. And it's spreading back there with the addition of Asa Turner. Well, he's not alone, though. Go back to a year ago, Jordan Castell's playing as a true freshman. There was a lot of 2023 freshman DBs that now can play with some confidence. Bryce Thornton, another fellow safety there. He's going to get a lot of playing time this year, even with Asa Turner, Jordan Castell as the presumed starters. Sharif Denson, Aaron Gates, a great battle going on there at Star. All these guys can benefit. Gates, he's got to bounce back from injury a bit, but you can see it. Had an interception in the scrimmage. It's going to be a good battle there. But all these guys can benefit from their own experience and then the experience of the transfers like Turner, DJ Douglas, Triquez Bridges. They have somebody to lean on. Now, those guys didn't play at Florida last year, of course, but they've played a lot of football. For Asa Turner, for a team that's making the college football playoff, there's a lot more to lean on in that room this year. But Castell did go on to say, I'm way more comfortable, but it's not just me. It's all the freshmen that came with me. So that's a good thing for me for sure. I'm fully confident now. I've got experience. I feel a lot better, and I think a lot of guys in my grade feel a lot more confident out there. Look, it's one of the main reasons he's so sure that this defense is going to be better. I think that bleeds over into us in the fan base. This defense is going to be better. I fully believe that. I really do. And this is one of the main reasons. You got a bunch of second-year players that are going to step up for Florida this season. That experience is really going to help last year, this year. Got to take your lumps, got to take your bumps. But Florida's going to be better. Castell did go on to say, my freshman year, you can look at the record and all that, but we had so many freshmen play, so we're all coming back. He's saying it's like, let's turn this thing around. We don't want to go through that again. We're losing that experience from last year. So there you go. He says we're losing that whole experience from last year. Now, not experience in general, just the experience of last year. Like you said, move on. Build on it. So many guys coming back. You can look at the record. Don't want to go through that again. So throw that whole experience away. You don't want to go through it again. All right, so let's keep on at safety. Let's go back to Asa Turner. And you know what? We got to hear from him for the first time. He had a lot of good things to say.
Khalil just said every time he sees you lined up across him and he has to put his mouthpiece in.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you bring?
I mean, that's kind of what I bring over here to the University of Florida. I feel like that's kind of instilled in me through Will Harris. Just a physical mentality and stuff like that, going to bring it every play. And I've had some ups and downs with my health and stuff like that. So some days it's less than others, but try and bring every play.
Is that how you ended up here, Will Harris?
Yeah, that was the main connection. I played for him at Washington for the first 2 years. And so just hopping in the portal, he was kind of the first dude that hit me up. And so that connection goes a long way.
I mean, you played for a national championship last year. I mean, now you're at a place that kind of trying to rebuild and get to a point where it can compete for those. What have you seen with this team that stands out and impresses you culture-wise or talent-wise compared with what you kind of...
I'm glad you brought that up. I'll just say growth. Just growth in all areas, and mostly the culture. I hear from dudes that's been here for like 5 years. They're like, it's come such a long way. And even for me, just being here for the past 6 months, I've seen it come so far. So I feel like the culture and everything Coach Nate brings, all the new staff, all the transfer portal players, we're just bringing the right culture and hopefully make some shake this year.
You're obviously a hard hitter, but this program also last year kind of had issues with turnovers and stuff. What can you bring from, do you think, that standpoint, plus skills?
Yeah, no, I think
you guys generating more.
Right, no doubt. I feel like I've had a hard time the past year creating turnovers, just with redshirting last year, and I had one cast on each hand, so it's kind of hard to create turnovers. But I mean, coming out throughout my past 5 years of college, I had 6 turnovers or 6 picks, a couple fumbles and fumble recoveries and stuff like that. So I feel like me just bringing that, and also just the coaches emphasizing on turnovers. I feel like there's a big emphasis on it. Each day we got to get at least 3 picks in the DB room or else we're running. So I feel like we're trying to make that happen.
For me, look, that connection to Will Harris has to stand for something for a guy that's played a lot of football. It's known Turner is a physical player, And it sounds like he credits Harris, your DB coach Will Harris, for a big part of that. So hopefully, to me, for me, hopefully that's the indication of the type of mindset that Harris is going to bring to his players and demand from his players. Turner has really made his mark as a hard-hitting safety going back to spring, early fall camp so far. Go back to spring. And Jaquavion Frazier's even mentioned that Turner tackled him harder than anybody else during his time in college football. And there's some similar thoughts from other receivers out there. Go to Khalil Jackson. When he spoke to the media, he goes, every time I see him lined up across me, I got to put my mouthpiece in. I know he's going to bring it. And you heard that conversation early on with Asa Turner starting that press conference there. But it's you can see the other side of the ball. I won't necessarily call it fear, but they know Asa Turner's going to bring it. But it's not just the tackling that stands out. Chimere Dike had to say this. He said, luckily, I haven't got tackled by him too much because we've only went live a couple of times, so it hasn't come up. But in blocking, it's not very fun in talking about going against Asa Turner. So that is welcome news from that position. Certainly, that there's some physicality there. And as I said, go back to the scrimmage. Asa Turner coming up and tackling running backs, coming up and tackling in pursuit. I think just being aggressive, not letting plays come to him, but attacking, pursuit of making plays.